How's it going, everybody? How's it going? I appreciate you guys tuning in to video series number 2. If you didn't watch the previous video, definitely make sure you watch that video because it's talking about great, valuable information on debt to income. So, again, right here next to me, I have the one and only Corey Singleton of Loan Depot, the #1 Chicago mortgage lending team in the entire Chicagoland and Illinois market area in general. And again, I'm not only speaking just from working with him with only my clients, but myself. I've used the Corey Singleton team for not only my own personal home purchase, but also my rental property purchase as well. And we're just going to get right into it for you guys just so you can get all the valuable knowledge information that you need. Because it's not just about getting the information from me. It's about you guys getting the information from the experienced, knowledge individuals in the industry. If you haven't watched the first video, Corey Singleton and his team have been in the mortgage lending industry now for over 15 years. And in 2018 alone, they did $24 million in revenue. So again, this is someone that is very, very knowledgeable and knows all the ins and outs of the mortgage lending industry. So again, Corey, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me for this video. So let's just get right into it, especially with the times of a lot of millennials now looking to purchase homes and a lot of individuals becoming more and more aware of the home buying process. The #1 thing that you're going to hear, and even people who not recently graduating from college, is student loans.
Yeah.
So really just talk a little bit, Corey, about your experience with student loans, how it really can affect your buying power in the home buying process, and really how you can navigate through those student loans.
Yeah. Thanks for the introduction, by the way. It's a pleasure to work with a rock star like Jameer, with his clients as well as him and his wife personally. So you definitely want to give him a call, and I got to throw that endorsement out there because he's the truth. So back to the student loans. That's a serious topic, and because 7 out of 10, maybe 8 out of 10 statistically of the clients that we pre-approve have student loans.
Okay.
So it's a subject and a topic that's not going away. We got to face it head on, and there are multiple options. The problem that we have is that there's misinformation out there about student loans.
Yeah.
Number one, you talk to some lenders and some institutions, and the way they handle student loans is the same way across the board, and that's just not the case.
Okay.
There's different ways to structure your deal when it pertains to student loans, and it all has to do with your pre-approval, how you're pre-approved, what programs you qualify for, and then that dictates what we can do when it concerns student loans.
Okay.
So, I can jump into it a little bit if you want.
Oh, yeah.
We're just having a conversation,
yes,
right?
sir. Go ahead.
Cool.
Go right in.
So you basically have FHA financing,
Okay.
you have conventional financing, and you have VA financing. And those are the three major products, or let me rephrase it, programs that are out there.
Okay.
And how each one of those deal with student loans, they differ. It's like night and day. So FHA, which a lot of our first-time home buyers will qualify for, their stance on student loans are a little more challenging.
Really?
Yeah. They, a lot of people may be in deferment, income-based repayment plan, or on, what do you call it? Deferment, or what's the other term where you're not paying?
Forbearance.
Forbearance, there you go. Thank you. So deferment, forbearance, or income-based. Well, unfortunately, even though you're not obligated to make a student loan payment at the time, FHA says we're not buying that. We want to know what you're going to pay when the forbearance is over, when the deferment is over,
Okay.
If your income changes. So they won't use any of those payments. Most lenders will just qualify you using 1% of the total balance of student loans.
Really?
I'll say that again. This is major. They'll use 1% of the total balance. So if you have $80,000 in student loans, now I'm using an $800 payment in your DTI.
Yikes.
Check out our DTI video and you'll see how important it is.
Ooh, wow.
So I'm using an $800 payment, even though you're not going to ever make that $800 payment. That's what I'm using to qualify you. So that could negatively impact your pre-approval amount. If you're trying to get to $200,000, use
Right.
that example in the other video, and now I got to hit you with an $800 payment that you really don't have to pay.
Wow. That's huge.
But most lenders do that. That's not the guidelines. Here at the Singleton, with the Singleton team, we stick to the guidelines. FHA actually requires what's called a fully amortized payment.
Okay.
All right, and that fully amortized payment means this. It simply means this: you take the balance, you take the interest rate,
Okay.
and you take the term. And what that number is, that calculation, that's fully amortized, meaning if you make those payments for that term, at the end of that term, your balance is going to be zero. Okay. Well, we know that won't be the case with the income-based repayment plan because you're paying a fraction.
Right.
And then obviously with deferment, you're not making a payment at all. That's key. Now, I'm not going to get into the way we structure it. Can I leave a little bit of suspense?
Oh, go ahead.
Call the Singleton team.
Call them.
To figure out how to work around that 1%.
Yeah.
Did we do it for you?
He definitely did it for me, and I'm telling you, you want to give him the phone call for real, because I mean it's not just about what you know, but it's also a lot of stuff that you don't know that you don't know, and you'd be surprised how many people don't go through the process of buying a home when everything else with their credit income is great, just because off of misinformation. And as he said, that 1%. That can kill your debt to income. That can go possibly from you being pre-approved for $120,000 to almost maybe 160, 170, almost
definitely.
200. Like that's a huge impact. So you want to make sure you're working with an individual like Corey and his team that's going to go by the guidelines. You don't want to have somebody that's just gonna, okay, well, just do 1%. Well, no, you want to get all of that information. So once you do get that pre-approval letter, Corey has looked at every single corner, every single door, everything that he can from his experience to know exactly what you're pre-approved for.
Absolutely. So that's FHA. Now, conventional is different. Conventional, if you're on an income-based repayment plan, they will actually accept that payment because, essentially it makes sense because it's income-based. So that payment that program says that you're obligated to pay, and someone would say, well, what if my income goes up? Well, guess what? It's relative. Yeah, you'll pay more because your income went up, but you're also making more. So the percentage is going to be the same anyway. So that's the distinct difference between student loans when it concerns, or that's the distinct difference rather between FHA and conventional when it concerns student loans is how we have to qualify you. And then VA has their own rules as well. If you're a vet, if you have your certificate eligibility, listen, call us. Let's get you pre-approved. One of the greatest programs out there. It's 100% financing, no monthly MI.
Wow.
And they have a lot of different guidelines when it concerns student loans as well as other things. So that's a whole nother conversation. But I really wanted to focus on FHA versus conventional with student loans because you got to be mindful of that. Don't settle for the 1% rule.
Yes, no, that's very crucial information because a lot of times we just hear about FHA. Oh, I want to do FHA because I only got to put 3.5% down. But depending on your student loan situation, it may be better for you to go conventional. So you don't want to come in with no preconceived notions. You want to pretty much, you can talk with an individual about some of the stuff that you know, but you also just want to be at the table to where you just got to be humble enough to say, hey, I just want to buy a home. Tell me the best way we can structure this to where it gets approved by the bank. Because again, at the end of the day, it come down to your lender. And I'm telling you just from experience, even from listens that I've had as an agent, the last thing you want to do is find out a week or 2 weeks before closing that some information that your lender could have checked on 2-3 months ago is now the reason why you're not going to close on your home. Yeah. Or you find out, hey, we can actually still close on your home, but now that we actually went further than just doing the 1% rule on your student loan, we actually did our due diligence, did our homework, we actually got to change you from FHA to conventional. So now instead of 3.5%, you got to pay 5%, 10%, 20%. Right. That's information that you need to know ahead of time. You need to know that up front. And we're going to have another video talking about that, especially with the pre-approved documentation. But, that is critical. That is huge because if you go based on the 1% rule of an $80,000 student loan, that's $800 that they're putting in your debt to income. Versus if you have somebody like Corey and his team that's actually going to go by the guidelines and see the best way they can structure that for you, you might only put $100, $150 on your debt to income. So again, that's just very, very critical information. I really hope you guys were taking notes on that. If you got any other questions for Corey or for myself, I'll definitely have both of our contact information at the bottom of this video as the video is going through. But again, that's just video series part 2. We're going to have several different of these type of topics, especially with the mortgage lending side of it, because again, at the end of the day, it comes down to what the bank says, because the bank is the one that's calling the shots at the end of the day. They're the ones that's funding the deal, and if the bank doesn't approve of of it, then you pretty much done all that work for nothing. So again, just make sure you guys really tune into these next couple videos, and even this video and the prior video, if you got to go back, that's why I'm putting it on the video. That's why it's going to have audio format, so you can have multiple different ways of getting this information, because you need to know this information. And the number one piece of information you need to know: call Corey. That's all I can say. Call Corey, call his team. So again, you can get that information. Even if you have a lender that you're fine with, that you work with, I always recommend just give Corey a call. Because you never know the information that you don't know that's out there that's available. So again, Corey, I definitely appreciate, because that student loans is a huge topic, and
it's not going away.
It's not going away, and that's something that can really be the difference of you thinking you're not approved for a home, and you come to talk to somebody like Corey who knows the guidelines. He can say, actually, you're pre-approved for $150,000. You're pre-approved for $200,000. It's a whole different ball game. So again, really appreciate you guys watching this video, and definitely make sure you tune into the next video.
Take care.